Section 1 Introduction. Our focus has long been captivated by the ability to make meaningful alterations to real-life images, a task that finds its roots in image processing. This interest has only grown in intensity as the world's thirst for visual content increases, driving the importance of image editing to new heights in a multitude of fields, spanning from photography to advertising and social media. One efficient way to guide this editing process is through natural language, a tool we are all born with and one that affords great flexibility. With this, text-guided image editing has found itself in the limelight, standing out amongst other image editing techniques that rely on masks. There have been quite a few remarkable achievements recently, through various methods proposed for text-guided image editing. However, we can broadly place these methods into two main buckets: zero-shot editing and end-to-end editing. Zero-shot editing is a pipeline technique that, although potentially promising, requires a great deal of manual hyperparameter adjustment to generate reasonable outcomes. On the other hand, end-to-end editing is often trained on artificial or synthetic datasets. However, these so-called silver datasets can sometimes introduce annotation errors, and might not cover the full spectrum of requirements or diversity found in real-world image editing scenarios. The models trained on such data often have limited ability to adapt and generalize, hence underscoring the pressing need for a higher quality dataset designed for real-world, text-guided image editing. That's where we introduce MagicBrush. This is a large-scale dataset, painstakingly annotated by hand, intended for guiding real image editing using instructions. The instructions are based on natural language, adding an element of flexibility that allows users to express their desired edits easily using phrases such as, "remove the crowd in the background." Moreover, to mimic the iterative nature of real-world image editing, we have also incorporated multi-turn scenarios into the dataset. We've been very selective about our crowd workers who annotate this dataset, requiring them to pass a qualifying quiz and go through a trial period where their work is manually graded. We continually monitor the quality of their work, and those who don't meet our standards are removed from the task. Qualified workers have to propose editing instructions and use the DALL-E2 image editing platform to create the target images interactively. They do this by trying different prompts and parameters until they achieve the desired result. If they're unsuccessful, the example is discarded. These workers may carry out a series of edits on an image, each turn involving a source image, an instruction, and a target image. We term this whole process as an edit session. MagicBrush is composed of 5,313 such sessions and 10,388 turns. It accommodates a wide array of editing situations, including single or multi-turn scenarios, and with or without masks, making it useful for both training and evaluation purposes. Our experiments show that after fine-tuning on MagicBrush, an end-to-end editing method named InstructPix2Pix performs significantly better and is preferred over other baseline methods according to human evaluators. We also conduct extensive experiments to assess current editing methods from various perspectives, including quantitative, qualitative, and human evaluations. The results underscore the challenging nature of MagicBrush and highlight the gap between existing methods and the demands of real-world editing. This implies that there's a need for more sophisticated models in the future. Section Summary. The demand for image editing has increased in various fields, and text-guided image editing has gained popularity. However, existing methods have limitations, and there is a need for a high-quality dataset to facilitate real-world text-guided image editing. The authors present MagicBrush, a large-scale and manually annotated dataset for instruction-guided real image editing, consisting of 5,313 sessions and 10,388 turns, supporting various editing scenarios. The dataset was used to fine-tune an end-to-end editing method, InstructPix2Pix, which outperformed other baselines according to human preferences. Section 2 Related Work. We'll now explore the context of the existing research in the area of text-guided image editing, a critical topic in the field of image processing that has been gaining traction recently. This approach essentially allows users to modify images based on accompanying text instructions, making it a versatile and powerful tool. These techniques generally fall into three categories, each based on a distinct type of text: global description-guided editing, local description-guided editing, and instruction-guided editing. Starting with global description-guided editing, earlier strategies focused on aligning specific words with image regions to facilitate editing. Recently, tools like Prompt2Prompt have made both broad and detailed image edits possible through changes in the associated prompts, managed by a mechanism called cross-attention control. In another innovation, null text inversion eliminates the need for original captions in editing, streamlining the process by optimizing the inverted diffusion trajectory of the image being edited. Techniques like Imagic, on the other hand, create a text embedding that matches the input image and combines it with the target description, thus generating varied edited images. Also, models such as Text2 Live introduce an edit layer that, when combined with the input image, enables localized editing. A commonly used tool for such global description-guided editing is Clip, which can rank images based on their alignment, thus aiding in choosing the most suitable edited image. However, this method often requires detailed descriptions of the target image, which could pose a challenge for users. Then we have local description-guided editing, which uses masked areas of the image along with corresponding regional descriptions for more localized editing. Techniques such as blended diffusion work by integrating edited sections with the rest of the image at various noise levels throughout the diffusion process. Alternatively, the Imagine editor trains diffusion editing models by replacing masked objects, which offers fine-grained control and leaves the unmasked areas untouched. However, this method can be demanding for users who need to provide additional masks and can be challenging for certain types of edits, like removing an object due to the difficulty in describing what's missing. Finally, there's instruction-guided editing, which employs instructions that describe what and how an image should be edited, such as, change the season to spring. This approach, initially proposed in multiple studies, allows image edits without requiring detailed descriptions or region masking, significantly simplifying the user's task. Advances in instruction following and image synthesis have led to the creation of tools like Instruct Pix2 Pix and Sudi, which can edit images based on such instructions. The training of Instruct Pix2 Pix was done with the help of synthetic texts created by GPT-3 and images edited through Prompt2 Prompt. Following this, the Hive model introduced a more comprehensive training dataset and utilized human ranking results for stronger supervision signals, further enhancing the training process. Section Summary. Text-guided image editing has gained attention in recent years and can be categorized into three types: global description-guided editing, local description-guided editing, and instruction-guided editing. Global description-guided editing uses Clip to rank generated images based on alignment, while local description-guided editing utilizes masked regions and corresponding regional descriptions for fine-grained control. Instruction-guided editing allows users to edit images without elaborate descriptions or region masking, and recent advancements in instruction following and image synthesis have led to improved models such as Instruct Pix2 Pix and Sudi. Section 2.2 Image Editing Datasets. In Section 2.2, we discuss the different types of datasets used for image editing. We compare these datasets in a table format. Many studies have used image caption datasets designed for specific subjects, like birds and flowers, for image editing. However, these datasets, though useful, limit the generalization abilities of models trained on them because of their narrow focus. On the other hand, editing using open domain datasets is more in line with real-world needs. The challenge with this approach is that high-quality training data in the open domain are hard to come by. While it's possible to create large-scale, silver, data automatically, the quality of such data often leaves much to be desired. We mention one dataset, EditBench, which has been carefully created by hand. However, it only includes 240 examples, which is insufficient for thorough model training and evaluation. Thus, we highlight the urgent need for a dataset that is both manually annotated and large-scale. In Section 3.1, we define the problem of instruction-guided image editing. This is where the goal is to modify a given image based on specific instructions. Depending on the type of editing guidance used, we can split this task into two scenarios. The first is the mask-free setting. Here, we have an original image and a set of textual instructions detailing how to edit the image. Models are then required to create a new image that adheres to these instructions. The second is the mask-provided setting. In this case, along with the original image and textual instruction, models also receive a mask, which is additional guidance that defines the region of the image to be edited. This makes the task easier for models, but it is less user-friendly since it needs extra information from the user. Furthermore, we can classify instruction-guided image editing based on whether the edits are done in a single step or in multiple steps. In a multi-step or multi-turn scenario, models are given the original image and a series of textual instructions. They then create a sequence of intermediate images, culminating in a final image. We refer to this series of iterative edits as an edit session. To evaluate this, we compare the final generated image with the original ground truth final image. In a single step or single turn scenario, models only edit the original and intermediate ground truth images once, following corresponding instructions. These generate new versions of each image. For evaluation in this scenario, we pair and compare all the generated images with their respective ground truths. Out of these different setups, the mask-free multi-turn editing scenario presents the greatest user-friendliness but also poses the greatest challenge. It allows users to achieve complex editing objectives using only textual instructions. However, it also requires models to perform iterative image edits, which can lead to the accumulation of errors. Section Summary. The need for a manually annotated and large-scale dataset for instruction-guided image editing is urgent, as current datasets have limited generalization abilities. The task can be divided into two settings, mask-free and mask-provided, and into single-turn and multi-turn editing scenarios. Mask-free multi-turn editing is the most user-friendly yet challenging setting, as it requires models to edit images iteratively, which can lead to error accumulations. Section 3.2 Dataset Annotation Pipeline. In this section, we are outlining the procedure for annotating our dataset, focusing on editing real images. We gather the original images from the well-known MS COCO dataset. To ensure variety, we try to even out the distribution of the different object categories found in the COCO images. This also includes minimizing the overemphasis on images featuring people, while maintaining a diverse set of images. The final assortment of our project, dubbed MagicBrush, contains about 34% of images that include people. We employ individuals, often referred to as crowd workers, via Amazon Mechanical Turk, AMT, to perform the task of manual annotation. They work with DALL-E2, a robust platform for creating high-quality images guided by text. This platform is perfectly suited for generating images that can be used for editing. However, it does require some skill to guide the image generation effectively, including providing comprehensive descriptions and specifying certain areas with masks. To prepare the workers for this task, we provide thorough tutorials, instructing them on how to use text prompts and drawn masks to edit images. We have a rigorous selection process, as illustrated in the provided figure, and after careful screening, we chose 19 workers for the task. We appreciate the efforts of our workers and thus, we allocate around one for each edit turn. This amount covers the payment for the worker and the platform fees for DALL-E2. The workers interact with DALL-E2, using a variety of prompts and masks until they achieve the desired outcome, i.e., the target image. Starting with the initial edit turn, a worker proposes a textual instruction along with its global description, and a free-form region mask, all aimed at creating a high-quality image. The workers then try to choose the image that is most aligned with their description and looks as real as possible. It's important to note that the workers might need to adjust their descriptions and masks or even restart the process with new instructions to obtain a satisfactory target image. Once a qualified target image is achieved, the worker might repeat the annotation process with a new textual instruction based on the current target image to create a new target image. However, we restrict the maximum number of turns per session to 3, taking into account that the workers may lose motivation or creativity to annotate further turns. Section Summary. The authors used the MS COCO dataset to annotate images for real image editing. They balanced the object class categories to increase diversity and hired crowd workers on Amazon Mechanical Turk to manually annotate images using the DALL-E2 platform. The workers were provided with detailed tutorials and a stringent worker selection process was employed, ultimately selecting 19 workers after thorough filtering. Section 3.3 Dataset Analysis and Quality Evaluation. Section 3.3 of our paper provides an in-depth analysis and evaluation of our dataset's composition and quality. The dataset, which we have named MagicBrush, has been collected through crowdsourcing and comprises over 5,000 editing sessions and more than 10,000 editing turns. Our figures give you an idea of how this data is divided and display the distributions of editing sessions that have varying numbers of edits. MagicBrush offers an extensive variety of editing instructions, including but not limited to adding, replacing, or removing objects, altering actions and colors, modifying texts or patterns, and adjusting the quantity of objects. The range of keywords associated with each type of edit paints a comprehensive picture, covering a wide array of objects, actions, and attributes. The wide scope of our dataset indicates that MagicBrush efficiently encapsulates numerous editing scenarios, making it a valuable resource for training and evaluating instruction-guided image editing models. To assess the quality of our data, we enlisted the help of 5 AMT workers to manually evaluate 500 randomly selected editing turns from the MagicBrush dataset. The workers were given a source image, an edit instruction, and the corresponding target image, and were asked to evaluate the edited image in terms of consistency and overall image quality. Consistency here refers to the degree to which the changes made to the original image align with the given instruction. Image quality, on the other hand, relates to the overall visual appeal of the edited image, taking into account factors such as preserving the visual integrity of the original image, how well the edited elements blend in with the original image, and how natural the changes appear. The workers gave scores ranging from 1 to 5 for each of these criteria. Upon calculation, we found that the average scores for consistency and image quality were 4.1 and 3.9 out of 5, respectively. When comparing these results to the edited images produced by existing methods discussed in Section 4, it's clear that our MagicBrush dataset stands out due to its high quality. Section Summary. The authors collected a large-scale instruction-guided image editing dataset called MagicBrush, consisting of over 5K edit sessions and more than 10K edit turns, through crowdsourcing. The dataset includes a wide range of edit instructions, covering various objects, actions, and attributes, and was evaluated by 5 AMT workers who reported high scores for consistency and image quality. This indicates that MagicBrush captures a rich array of editing scenarios and is of high quality compared to existing methods. Section 4.1 Experiment Setup. In the Section 4.1 titled, Experiment Setup, we discuss the foundations of our research experiments. We set up benchmarks using a variety of methods, both in settings where a mask is provided and where it isn't. We've made sure to use the standard hyperparameters found in the respective official code repositories for all these benchmarks. This is done to ensure that our experiment is both reproducible by others and fair in its comparisons. We took inspiration from the Instruct Pix2Pix model and engaged our model, ChatGPT, to generate the appropriate text formats for these benchmarks. Some of these methods require global and local descriptions which ChatGPT is quite capable of generating. For further details on these prompts, you can refer to our appendix section. For situations where a mask is not provided, we looked at various benchmarks such as OpenEdit, VQGANClip, SDSDEdit, Text2Live, Null Text Inversion, and Instruct Pix2Pix. We also considered a version of Instruct Pix2Pix that's been fine-tuned on the training set of MagicBrush. In cases where a mask was provided, we examined glide and blended diffusion as benchmarks. Further details about these methods and our fine-tuning process can also be found in the appendix. To assess our results, we used a mix of L1 and L2 metrics. These measure the average difference in pixel level values between the generated image and the original image. This is calculated by taking the absolute difference between each corresponding pixel value. We also used metrics called clip-I and deno. These measure the quality of the image by comparing the similarity between the generated image and the original image. This comparison is done in a space created by the clip and deno models, which represent the images as mathematical embeddings. Lastly, we used the clip-T metric to gauge the alignment between the generated images and the text descriptions. This was done by measuring the cosine similarity between the generated images' clip embeddings and the local text descriptions. The reason for using local descriptions is that they are more specific to the edited region, whereas a global description may not adequately describe the target image. Section Summary. The experiment setup includes multiple baselines in both mask-free and mask-provided settings, with default hyperparameters to ensure reproducibility and fairness. Evaluation metrics include L1 and L2 for pixel-level absolute difference, clip-I and deno for image quality, and clip-T for text-image alignment using local descriptions. Global descriptions are not used as they may not be specific to the editing region. Section 4.2 Quantitative Evaluation. We carried out a quantitative assessment to compare different image editing approaches. These approaches fall into two categories: ones that utilize editing guidance, known as mask-provided, and those that don't, referred to as mask-free. The same group of 535 test sessions were used for both types of approaches. For each category, we explored two editing situations: a single-step editing and a multi-step editing. The key difference is that the multi-step scenario involves a series of editing tasks, which tends to increase the likelihood of errors building up. When it comes to mask-free editing, we discovered several trends. 1. Generally, all approaches struggled more with the multi-step scenario because of the compounding of errors over multiple editing steps. 2. The out-of-the-box Instruct Pix2Pix model did not compare well to other approaches in either editing scenario. However, when fine-tuned with our MagicBrush dataset, Instruct Pix2Pix showed significant improvement, often achieving the best or near-best results. This suggests that image editing models, guided by instructions, can benefit significantly from training on our MagicBrush dataset, proving its value. 3. The Text2Live model performed quite well in terms of similarity between the edited image and the original, as measured by the L1 and L2 metrics. This is likely due to an additional editing layer that aims to limit alterations to the source image. However, the edited images often failed to meet the editing instructions, resulting in low scores on the clip-T metric. On the other hand, the VQGANClip model scored highly on the clip-T metric because it tweaks the model during the inference process with direct supervision from the clip model. Yet, this could lead to excessive changes to the image, which resulted in poor scores on other metrics. Moving on to mask-provided editing, the challenges encountered in the multi-step scenario were similar to those found in the mask-free setting. Both methods achieved high scores under the clip-I and Dino metrics, which evaluate global changes in the image. However, they struggled with the L1, L2, and clip-T metrics that evaluate changes to specific regions in the image. Notably, the Instruct-Pix2-Pix model, when fine-tuned with our MagicBrush data, outperformed the blended diffusion method in terms of the clip-I and Dino metrics. This hints that our data can help preserve image quality while making changes. Section summary. The authors evaluated mask-free and mask-provided baselines separately using the same 535 sessions from the test set. They observed that all methods perform worse in the multi-turn scenario due to error accumulation. Instruct-Pix2-Pix showed significant performance improvements after fine-tuning on MagicBrush, suggesting that instruction-guided image editing models could benefit from training on their dataset. Section 4.3 Qualitative Evaluation. 4.3 Evaluating quality. We assess and display the output from the top-performing models, Text2Live, a method that doesn't use masks, and Glide, a method that uses masks. We also review results from both the initial and fine-tuned versions of the Instruct-Pix2-Pix model. The diagram shows a comparison between these four models and the actual, or ground truth, images produced by MagicBrush. Neither Text2Live nor Glide effectively edit the man's face and clothes. The original Instruct-Pix2-Pix model does modify the images based on given instructions, but the resulting images are overly edited and lose their realistic quality. When we fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix using MagicBrush, this issue was mitigated somewhat, but the images produced still fell short compared to the original images. For more examples of this quality evaluation, please refer to the appendix. 4.4 Evaluating with human input. We carry out extensive human evaluations to gauge both consistency and the quality of the images generated. Our evaluations consist of 3 tasks: comparing multiple images, comparing 2 images, and evaluating a single image. For each task, we randomly select 100 images from the test set and employ 5 workers from Amazon Mechanical Turk, AMT, to perform the evaluations. The images are equally divided among the evaluators and any resulting scores are averaged and then reported. In the task involving multiple images, the evaluators compare the top 4 methods as shown in the tables, which include Text2Live, Glide, Instruct-Pix2-Pix, and Instruct-Pix2-Pix fine-tuned using MagicBrush. For each image, the evaluators choose the best edited image based on consistency and quality. The tables show that the fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix performs the best, surpassing the other 3 methods significantly. This result shows the effectiveness of training the model using our MagicBrush dataset. Interestingly, while Text2Live performs well in automated evaluations, it falls short in human evaluations, particularly in maintaining consistency with the given instructions. This suggests that current automated metrics, which focus on the overall image quality, may not align well with human preferences. It also underscores the need for future research to improve automated evaluation metrics. In the task involving one-on-one comparisons, evaluators provide a detailed evaluation of the fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix model, comparing it with strong baseline models and the original images. The evaluators decide their preference based on consistency and image quality. We split these comparisons into 2 scenarios, which will be explained further in the following sections. Section summary. The authors present the results of their top-performing mask-free and mask-provided methods in their qualitative analysis, comparing the original and fine-tuned checkpoints of Instruct-Pix2-Pix. While Text2Live and Glide were unsuccessful in editing the man's face and clothes, fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix on MagicBrush achieved the highest performance in human evaluation, significantly surpassing the other 3 methods in terms of consistency and image quality. Section. In our research, we compared the effectiveness of a fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix system against 2 other methods, namely the standard Instruct-Pix2-Pix and Text2Live, in a scenario that required a single action. From the data presented in the table, it's evident that the fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix consistently surpassed the other 2 in maintaining consistency and producing high-quality images. We also studied the performance of fine-tuned Instruct-Pix2-Pix in a multi-step scenario. We compared the edited images it produced with the actual or ground truth images, across several rounds of editing. What we found was intriguing. The difference in performance became more pronounced as we increased the number of editing steps. This underlines the challenges that even the best models face when it comes to error accumulation. Furthermore, it shines a light on the intricacies and complexities presented by our dataset. For a more individualized evaluation, we employed a 5-point Likert scale to assess the quality of the images produced by each model. We asked evaluators to rate the images from 1 to 5, keeping both consistency and image quality in mind. Again, the results clearly illustrated that the fine-tuned Instruct Pix2 Pix not only outperformed Text2 Live and Glide but also showed marked improvements over the original Instruct Pix2 Pix. This emphasizes the benefits of training or refining models using our MagicBrush dataset. Section Summary. The study compares the performance of fine-tuned Instruct Pix2 Pix with two other methods, Instruct Pix2 Pix and Text2 Live, in both single-turn and multi-turn scenarios. The results show that fine-tuned Instruct Pix2 Pix consistently outperforms the other methods in terms of consistency and image quality. Additionally, the study employs a 5-point Likert scale to evaluate the quality of individual images, and the results demonstrate that fine-tuned Instruct Pix2 Pix outperforms Text2 Live and Glide, highlighting the advantages of training or fine-tuning models using the MagicBrush dataset.